welcome back. Today we are going to continue our discussions on directed numbers, and this time we will be looking at subtraction of integers with tiles. So again, as with integers, when we're adding integers with tiles, we can represent those positive integers with a plus sign and negative integers with a minus sign. And remembering that in the book, our Math Makes Sense book, they use yellow tiles for positive and red tiles for negative. Keeping in mind, though, again, that I want you to actually write these out rather than wasting the time drawing boxes and filling them in with different colors. Okay. Also remembering that a positive and a negative together make a zero pair because they cancel each other out. And when we added tiles, we were combining groups. And to subtract, we do the absolute opposite. We remove tiles from the group. So remember that if we had a 3 plus a negative 2, we would have 3 positive tiles. We would add 2 negative tiles, zero pair those, and we would be left with a positive 1. So zero pairs are important. They're also important when we're subtracting. And remembering that when you add a zero pair to an integer, it doesn't change the value of an integer. So if we're looking at a positive 3 and we have 3 positives representing that positive 3, if we add a zero pair, it still represents a positive 3. If we add another zero pair, it still represents a positive 3. So you can add any number of zero pairs that you want, and it won't change the overall value or what this actual set is representing. Okay, so that's important to remember when you're dealing with a subtraction. And this can go on infinitely. There is no end to how we can represent a positive 3. So, in order to subtract with tiles, you must first represent the first integer in the equation. And what that means, if our first integer in the equation is this negative 6, we represent that here with 6 negatives. Okay? Then we look at what were we taking away. We're taking away 2 negatives. So you look at what you already have. You have 6 negatives here. So if we want to take away 2 negatives, we just simply circle those 2 negatives and take them away. What do we have left? Negative 4. Okay? So subtracting our smaller integers from larger integers of the same sign, it's very straightforward. It's just simple subtraction. Okay, so again here we have 5 positives. We're taking away 3 positives. What do we have left? Positive 2. Okay. Subtracting integers in opposite signs, or when the integer being subtracted is larger than the initial integer, it gets a little bit more complicated. So for example, here we have 3 positives. We want to take away 5 positives. So we start with our 3. We want to take away 5. We don't have 5. We only have 3. So we need to give ourselves 2 zero pairs. Okay? This, because we've got these zero pairs here, we're still representing our positive 3, but now we have 5 positives. Okay, so now we can take away our 5 positives, and we're left with a negative 2. Same goes here. 4 negatives, 1, 2, 3, 4. We want to take away 3 positives. We don't have 3 positives, so we're going to give ourselves 3 positives so that we have them to take away. When we give ourselves our 3 positives, in order to keep this whole equation at a negative 4, we must zero pair these 3 positives. So now we're still at a negative 4. This set of integers still represents a negative 4, but now you have 3 positives within this set. So now we can take away those 3 positives, and what do we have left? 7 negatives. So here are your rules. Negative minus a negative. If the first integer is bigger, the answer will always be negative. If the second integer is bigger, the answer will be positive. So the example, that would be a negative 5 minus a negative 3. The answer in this case is going to be negative because this number is bigger. If it was negative 3 minus a negative 5, it's going to be a positive because this number is bigger. Okay? Positive minus a positive, the exact same rules. Positive 5 minus a positive 3. This is bigger, so your answer is going to be positive. Positive 3 minus a positive 5. This is bigger, so your answer is going to be negative. Positive minus a negative, the answer will always be positive because when you're minusing negatives, if you start with a positive number, remember happy people, sad people, if we start with 2 happy people and we're taking away negative people, okay, that means our happiness is going to increase, so your answer will always be positive, okay, when you're subtracting negatives. And there's a quick rule for this too. Some people like to do this, so if you have a positive 5 minus a negative 3, so we're taking away 3 negatives, so we're going to become more positive. Minus a negative is always positive, okay? Always. Even if this was a negative 5 minus a negative 3, again, this becomes positive. So it'd be negative 5 plus 3. The answer could be negative still, because this number is bigger. Remember, going back to this one up here. But minus a negative is always addition. Okay? The same goes here. If you start with a negative and you're subtracting positives, your answer is always going to be negative. Again, sad people. Right? We're taking away happy people. That means we're going to get more sad. So our answer is always negative. Okay, so we will do some more of this in class. These rules are important. Remember those. That will help you with your signs. And also remember, for example, for this one again, if you're starting with your 4 negatives, this one, for example, if you're starting with your 3 positives and you need 5, you're not adding 5 more positives. Okay? That's not right. You only want to add what you need. You need 5, you have 3, so you only add 2 more. And then you just zero pair what you had to add. Okay, that's going to be your biggest catch right here. I'm seeing people do it already, where they're adding 5 instead of just adding 2 to the 3. Okay, so remember that, that's important. And we'll talk more about this in class.